Good morning, everyone. My name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the May 6th, 2026 at-large Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:04 a.m.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 revised statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's at-large board meeting virtually on Zoom. Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. The HCDA communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clear audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourself to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name, pseudonym, or other identifier name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking a raise hand button following your Zoom screen. If you are attending in person, you'll be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. When time has elapsed, time will be called out afterward to allow 30 seconds to conclude your testimony. Then your audio will be turned off. If you're attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. The authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost. The meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you. Chair.
Thank you. HCDA members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect that the following members are present. Vice Chair Ishii.
Here.
Thank you. Secretary Lidstone.
Here.
Thank you. Member Miranda Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Evans.
Here.
Thank you. Member Streitz is excused. Member Takakura. I think she's having trouble unmuting, but she is here. Member Sarvis.
Here.
Thank you. Member China is excused. Member Sakota.
Here.
Thank you. Member Duvashel.
I
Here.
think he's gonna oh, she's there.
Yep. Yep. Member Gordner.
Here.
Thank you. Member Leon.
Here.
Thank you. Member Light. I do not see. I'm going to mark as excused. Member Kabibi.
Here.
Thank you. So we have 4.
Member Yamasaki is excused.
Yeah, member Yamasaki is excused, and we have abundant quorum.
Yeah.
For today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Moving to agenda item number 2, approval of minutes. These are the special meeting minutes of March 25th, 2026. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, those minutes are approved as presented. We also have another set of minutes to approve. These are the regular meeting minutes of April 1st, 2026. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes in tab 2 of your? Okay, seeing none, those minutes are approved as presented. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, decision making. This is to consider authorizing the executive director to assist the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism and the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development under Act 252, SLH 2025 in the project management for the planning, designing, and construction, sand stabilization structure or other sand stabilization projects located in the Kawehewehe sector of Waikiki Beach, Honolulu, Hawaii, including the procurement of consultants, with the specific location of the sand stabilization structure at Waikiki Beach to be determined during the planning phase of the project. Mr. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director, will now present the staff report, which is in tab 3 of your comments.
Thank you, Chair. We're joined at the board meeting by Michael Kane. He is with the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands at DLNRs to add information or other data if needed. At the last board meeting, we presented for information the HCDA assisting both the OPSD and the DBED in performing or helping with the sand stabilization project in the Cavite Valley sector. At the time of that meeting, it was contemplated that the project might be a larger one, a larger sand stabilization structure. Since that time, we've had meetings with Mr. Kane and Member Evans, and we've talked about the evolution of this project. And it was thought that the approval for this could be a smaller kind of projects, the smaller scale projects that could be done, with existing funding, and would involve projects that are maybe more smaller in nature, including maybe reef restoration, some sand replenishment, and other smaller projects. This ask is being done under Act 252 from session laws of 2025. There is funding. There's 5 million of funding available right now that's earmarked to do both comprehensive plan for improvements in Waikiki Beach. Any remainder could be used for this project. There's $7 million in the CD1 version of the state budget for this purpose. So there's possibly $7+ million for these smaller projects. As I mentioned, these projects are deemed to be a little bit smaller in scale, easier to maybe permit, and in the scheme of projects for Waikiki Beach, something that may be more favorable from a public point of view than a larger sand stabilization structure. The DLNR right now is doing some of the design work for these projects, and they're working towards 100% design for these projects. We're hoping to get approval for this and then enter into an MOU with DLNR and OPSD. I think this has HCDA's assistance, has the support of OPSD, DBED, and DLNR. So I'm open for questions. Also, Member Evans is very familiar with the project, and Mr. Kane is here.
Great, thank you. Members, Member Evans, you want to add anything?
Yes, actually, I'd like to chair if Michael Kane could provide some additional information because since last month, the project has moved forward. And so there's additional information that the members may appreciate hearing before they consider the recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Kane?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and board members. Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands has 5 different contracts covering about 8 projects, each related in Waikiki, and they're all at different stages. So in talking with Craig and Mary Alice and Garrett, we have some of these that will be ready to move into construction within a year or two. And I did compile sort of a cheat sheet of all our contracts that I emailed a draft to Craig last week, and then I can pass out to the board. Okay, hold up. Yeah. So this is all like public information pulled directly from our contracts, so you don't have to treat it with high confidentiality. In essence, I have a project at the swim basins that is fully funded and has been moved through construction starting September. So that's on here because this is my complete cheat sheet. We have a project for groin repairs for some of the sandbag grinds you see falling apart at Cujillo Beach. And doing small scale nourishment. If I get a ceiling increase in my beach fund, that's fully funded. There's other projects that we're bringing to 30% design phase, which would be conceptual designs, like if we do reef restoration or reef flat restoration, will that mitigate erosion? With 30% design, we'll have a rough cost estimate. For the outrigger area, sort of the either side of the Port de Rusi storm outfall, severe erosion there, that's critical. We're doing designs for small scale beach nourishment. That one, we have a contract with Sea Engineering that will take us completely through final design and permitting. So that's all covered. No construction funds in that one, but I'm getting a lot for my money. So a lot of these are projects that once we're ready, we'll be able to pass over to somebody for implementation. Some I feel would be more appropriate for county parks, if I could get them to spend money. Some would be more appropriate for the state or DLNR to take the lead on. So this is summary of sort of your, how do you say it? Projects to choose from. I mean, I definitely have my opinions on which ones are more critical and which aren't. And none would interfere with a larger T-growing project. These I can just implement faster. We have a clear permitting process. And the T-growing planning started in the mid-1980s. So I am faster than that. So with that, I'm free for any questions.
Thank you. Members, comments or questions for staff or for Mr. Member Evans? Member Gordon.
Thank you. So since the project sounds like it's changed slightly since it was presented to us, what specific contribution is DLNR hoping for or expecting from HCDA?
I don't know if we're expecting anything. I mean, we're designing projects that if they look good, it would be nice to implement them. So for if we look at small scale beach nourishment, finding the outrigger and Port de Rusi area, it would be, we already have contracts for the permitting, for Sea Engineering to do the permitting and follow the regulatory process. So it would be implementing construction, or for other projects, it would be moving into a final design if the 30% looks good.
Member, so.
Member Evans, you're trying.
Let me add to that, Member Gortner. DBID is an advocate for this project because of its importance to our economy. And where appropriate, we are prepared, DBID, with OPSD acting on behalf of DBID, is prepared to submit applications for required permits to the various different approving agencies, including the state land board, but also other permits may be going to the Department of Health, Department of the Army, etc. That is something that HCDA, as a sister agency to OPSD, that also has planning capacity and the ability to do to contract for design, can help with. Office of Planning does not have the ability to do construction. We plan. So HCDA, in addition to DLNR, working with DLNR, can undertake construction if the permits are approved. So it's a sequential process, and there will probably need to be some, it's definitely a partnership. So as things move forward, we'll make some of those decisions about which agency takes on which part of this larger project at the time that it's appropriate.
And maybe, Chair, if I can add to what the member had said, I think DLNR has a regulatory capacity. So and this is, well, more advocacy. So I think when you look at DLNR, kind of advocate for these projects, it's a little bit sort of, not aligned with their regulatory capacity. So the thought was that HCDA would, working with OPSD, working with DLNR as a partner, and DBED would be an advocate for this. And to answer your question, project manage these various projects to completion.
So if I could add, I mean, you put it very nicely. We were called out on other projects, Maui, for, we're a regulatory agency, and we were called out for, you can't be a regulatory agency regulating yourself. So we started looking for how to pass off these projects. So a lot of what I'm working on are funds we already had that I didn't want to lapse when we use them effectively. But, apparently you're not supposed to be your own regulator.
Great, thank you. Member Gordner, does that answer your question?
It does. I have a couple more. So
Please.
So you have your cheat sheet in front of you of 8 projects. What is, and we're being asked today to potentially contribute to one of the 8, if I understand that correctly, or all 8?
Can I respond?
Member Hayes.
So the legislature appropriated last year in Act 250, 5 million in CIP funds to the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development for Waikiki Beach restoration work. And that includes a comprehensive plan for all of Waikiki Beach, from the LOI Boat Harbor down to Kaimana Beach. Looking at each beach sector separately and working with DLNR to figure out which projects, small scale sand replenishment, beach stabilization structures, and other projects that are appropriate to protect and ensure the public trust asset of a beach and the public access to the beach is protected.
Yeah.
So that was the 5 million. The 7 million that is in the for the state budget bill, House Bill 1800, which is likely going to a floor vote today, would also allow for all of those elements, plan, design, and construction, for Waikiki Beach. It is, I think, a consensus, and we have presented last month to this board that the Kawehiwehi sector, which is experiencing the most severe erosion at this point, is the most critical project and needs to move forward first.
And the time frame for all of the projects roughly?
I gave a rough time frame in here. Well, here's one of the challenges, because green fees we have to encumber by the end of the fiscal year, right? And I don't have rough cost estimates yet. I will during the coming year for many of these. So it'd be for HCDA to choose what.
I can add a little to that. So the 7 million is not a green fee. It's in the regular CIP budget. So it has the regular CIP encumbrance deadlines, and which can be extended by the legislature if they choose. The DLNR got additional green fee appropriations that are in House Bill 1800 for beach restoration. So there's, I think you could say there's 3 different sources of funds, 2 of which may be approved for final passage today and enrolled to the governor for his approval in the state budget. And then one from that is from last year in Act 250, which is being amended in House Bill 1800 as well. So there are different sources of funding, different roles, and it is our commitment to make that partnership work. And HCDA is a key part of that. Good. Because we don't do construction.
Member Gordner.
Yeah, so this sort of takes me to my last question in this line, which is, if HCDA want to participate, which agency has that construction authority would it fall to assist in a project like this?
HCDA has the ability to do construction, to manage construction. So does DLNR. DLNR has an engineering division and the Office of Conservation Coastal Lands. So they can do that as well. But the permitting is where the HCDA and OPSD's role as advocates for the project might be the key to getting these to move to the construction phase.
Member Gordner's question seems to be, if HCDA does not participate, what is the next step? Is it DAGS or who's sort of the next in line agency after us to do this kind of work?
There isn't.
I don't think there is one.
Okay.
That can do it. It's not OPSD.
Yeah.
The DLNR, there's that, regulatory advocate sort of conflict. I don't think DAGS would do this kind of work.
They build office buildings.
Yeah,
Right.
so I don't think there is another alternative, Member Gordner.
Member Gordner? You have another chain?
My question, I had one more question for staff, which was, am I right from my reading of the latest capital notices that we still have the possibility of taking on 2 new districts this year?
So you are correct. Those are Senate Bill 2001 and Senate Bill 2599. One is Banyan Drive and one is the stadium.
Okay, that's all my questions. Good, thank you.
Members, any other comments or questions? I just have a comment, and it's, we're all awaiting, eagerly is not the right word, the final budget approved by the legislature and signed by the governor. One of the questions in that budget is what kind of staffing the agency will have. And so it's just a comment, is when we get to sort of H on the evaluation form of funding sources. Obviously, I know that OPSD, being a collaborator agency, will make sure that HCDA is compensated appropriately for the sort of staff time that this project takes. As Member Gordner pointed out, we as an agency may be asked to take on even greater responsibility in the state. And I know that Craig and the team do a good job of stretching, but I don't want us to stretch too far. That's my comment. Any other comments or questions, members? If not, we will move to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Any persons present or online who wish to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any questions or comments before I look for a motion? Member Porter.
Chair, I'll just say, to me, I think this is a totally worthwhile project. I think it would make an important economic contribution to the state, but I'm quite concerned as it's framed about it being appropriate and feasible for HCDA at this time. The project review and evaluation criteria that we were given, I sort of circled limited staff resources, no fees, reputational risks, not ready for implementation, although it sounds like that's changed a bit since last month. We're in a context in which we were already very close to receiving our districts. We have a TOD program to stand up. There are questions about how much money we'll have and how many staff positions that we'll have for the coming year. And as worthwhile as this project is, it doesn't seem to me like something that is our unique contribution to make to the state. And so for those reasons, I'll vote in opposition today.
Thank you, Member Gordner. Members, is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to allow the Hawaii Community Development Authority to assist the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism and the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development under Act 252 SLH 2025 in the project management for the planning, designing, and constructing the sand stabilization structure or other sand stabilization projects located in the Kawehiwehi sector of Waikiki Beach, Honolulu, Hawaii, including the procurement of consultants with the specific location of the sand stabilization structure or other sand stabilization projects at Waikiki Beach to be determined during the planning phase of the project, subject to the availability of funding and resources for HCDA, and undertake all actions necessary to effectuate this for action. Do I hear such a motion? Move. Is
So
that,
moved.
I see moved by member Kabibi, and is that a second by member Evans?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair. I wanted to ask
Oh.
a question before we voted.
Sorry.
I apologize. May I ask a question?
Member Kabibi, is it okay if we do the motion in second and then we can do your question and, yep.
Yes,
Okay, so
thank you.
moved by member Evans. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by member Miranda Johnson. Members, we can open further discussion. Member Kabibi on the further discussion on the motion.
Thank you, Chair. May I just ask Director Nakamoto if he feels that they were able to take on this project and implement it successfully?
So, Member Kobibi, in the next part of the agenda, I'll be speaking directly to the legislative matters and to Member Gordner's point, some changes in staffing, changes in the budget that affect operations. However, I think if we can get we can secure the funding, which looks like it's likely, and we can hire consultants for this then we can project manage, and we can agree between the parties on some sort of fee for this work. I think it is doable. There is gonna be a point where we will kind of hit some, staff capacity. When that will be, I'm not sure right now. But I think this project is too important for the state, for DBED, for PSD, for DLNR to not try to do. I think there is really no one else no other state agency can do it. And so, yes, we'd be stretching a little bit, to Member Evans's point. But I think it's doable with resources and hiring consultants.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Member Kabibi. Member Gubichel.
Hi, I have a quick question as well. I tried to skim through this. Is there any risks on doing the seawall versus not doing the seawall for the reef in particular, or for the land in particular? I know we're talking about the economic positives for our industry here, but are there risks for doing it the seawall in particular in this area?
Member Evans, do you want to address that, or maybe Mr.
Yeah.
King?
Member Dumichel, this proposal does not include repairing the seawalls, which in this area, the Kawehiwehi sector, are on privately owned land. And it is up to is my personal view that the private owners are responsible for the repairs of the seawall that is on their property. So this is not included in this project.
Just for Member Dubichel's knowledge, can you describe some of the sand stabilization types that are going to be contemplated under this?
I'm gonna ask if Michael Kane can.
So yeah, let me move to the project that's furthest along.
Yeah.
Not the ones that I'm finishing up myself.
Yeah, and if you could just sort of briefly describe just the types of sand stabilization structures.
Okay, so we have a small scale beach nourishment program that allows minor retaining structures. And that's not fully designed. If everybody here is familiar with Kuhio Beach, there's that sandbag groin that was put in to stabilize one of the corners. It's fired is falling apart. We'll be replacing that with a low rise rock groin about the same dimensions, but the curves is more aesthetic. And those are designed to kind of stabilize small areas of beach so that if we do sand nourishment, those will be locked in place. We can authorize those under our small scale beach nourishment program, up to 10,000 cubic yards of sand. For those who remember the last Waikiki project, that big pile that was by the kiosks at Coveo Beach was about 20,000 cubic yards. So we've designed this project to be within the SSBN parameters. And we've already paid for the consultants on this one. So it's just construction. And that's the one that will be closest to be ready for implementation. We're just working on the final design. No seawalls. We've been very clear that we don't design white seawalls, so I'm definitely not going to build one or help somebody build one. I believe, the state budget's been like a game of pinball, the last version I saw. The money that's going to DBED specifically says not to be used to reinforce private property.
Yeah.
And that was in addition to not allow state money to be used to repair some of the failing seawalls in Waikiki. So, so sand nourishment, minor retaining structures, usually mostly at the beach right of way or along the outfalls to stabilize any new beach we put in. Reef restoration, we're still modeling, but that would be where the channels were dredged. There's a theory that if we like restore the reef flat there, that it'll improve the currents. But that we're still modeling, so that will not be ready for implementation. Oh, there we are, pretty picture. So this is one we're building. If I get a ceiling increase, I can finish construction by November, December, and everybody will be able to see what we're talking about in real life.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kane. Member Duvichel, does that answer your question?
This is great. I really appreciate. I think my last question would be: are there any risks in doing this again to sea life, to any of the reef? I know we keep talking about economic benefits. I just want to know if there's any risk to the land at all or the ocean. Like for us to get behind this project, there's some pushback from the board, so I'm also trying to just get a bigger, fuller picture.
So there was an environmental impact statement for the large, like mega project that evaluated the different risks. All these are well under that. And our small scale beach nourishment program also has an environmental impact statement associated with it. So our position of this minimal risk to pure beach restoration, provided that we follow the best management practices. And we have pretty strict guidelines on what beach quality sand is, and we match it with sand that's going on the beach. The bigger impact from the larger drawings that are impacting currents are obviously seawalls, which we're not designing anything along that lines.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Duvichel. Member Leong.
I was going to suggest that we add an amendment that ensures that HCDA staff is adequately compensated, or we have enough staff for this project.
I think we can cover it here.
Yeah.
Undertake all other actions and we can.
Yeah, I think Member Leong, are you okay if we just leave the agency flexibility on that? I worry about just any sort of language we might use, and
Okay, but it might change Member Gordimer's vote.
Okay, thank you, Member Leong.
And Member Leong, as we negotiate an MOA for this, believe me, including some kind of administrative fee for HCDA is going to be top of mind besides refining and defining the scope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the thought though.
Yep. Member Sakota.
I just wanted to say, just coming from the HCDA standpoint, I like that more aggressive attitude of helping first and then putting pressure on the legislator to get funding. And I think Craig is on board with that. Is I would rather the agency not be an agency that finds every reason not to help, but help first and then be a very rational take a very rational financial position in saying, hey, look, if you guys want this help, it costs money and it costs people. You know, we need that funding. And I think I've discussed this with Craig before, and I think he has that sentiment. So I hope that we push forward as an agency rather than shy away from, taking on projects.
Thank you, Member Sakota.
Thank you, Member Sakota. Members, any other questions or comments? Okay, if it's okay, we'll take a vote on the original motion made by Member Evans and seconded by Member Miranda Johnson. And I will ask Craig to take the roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair. On the motion that was made by Member Evans and seconded by Member Miranda Johnson, Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Secretary Lidstone,
Aye.
Member Anderson,
Yes.
Member Takakura,
Aye.
Member Strikes is excused, Member Sarvis,
Aye.
Member Chino is excused, Member Sakota,
Yes.
Member Dubashel,
Yes.
Member Gordner,
No.
Member Leon,
Aye.
Member Light is excused, Member Kabibi,
Yes.
Member Yamasaki is excused. Motion passes, Chair. Sorry, Chair, your vote, yes, for you.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12 yes, 1 no, 4 excused.
Correct. Thank you,
Motion
Chair.
passes. Thank you.
Chair.
We'll move now to agenda item number 4, consider establishing pursuant to section 92-2.5 B1 Hawaii Revised Statutes, a permitted interaction group for the purpose of establishing the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals, and accordingly amend the agency's strategic plan adopted by the authority at the June 4th, 2025 General Authority meeting. Mr. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director, will now present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. The staff report is contained in tab 4 of your packet. In another agenda item, couple of agenda items below, the board will be hearing from the permitted interaction group that was established in March of 2026 to evaluate my annual performance and establish the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals and accordingly amend the agency's strategic plan. So the PIG met on several occasions, April 13th, 17th, and 21st. The board completed its review of my performance. But regarding the strategic plan, which is the second part of the reason for the PIG's establishment, was regarding the updating of the strategic plan, the PIG didn't finalize a formal recommendation. The PIG members noted that there were refinements that they felt needed to be incorporated into the existing strategic plan, including the need clearer goals and other outcomes. So there just wasn't time to finalize it. Under the state sunshine law, the PIG is only allowed to report out on one thing, one matter. And once they report out, and then the PIG recommends action, maybe at the June meeting, PIG is technically dissolved. So there is a need to create a second PIG that will specifically address the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals and amend the strategic plan. So we are recommending that a new permitted interaction group be established for that purpose. And we would accordingly recommend that the same PIG members be appointed, namely Chair, Secretary Lidstone, Member Kabibi, Member Dubashel, Member Leong, Member Sakota, and Member Wicker. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Nakamoto. Members, any questions or comments? Okay. Are the members who served on the permitted interaction group for the executive director's evaluation willing to serve on this permitted evaluation group? I see no objections. So I'll just confirm that the PIG members will be Chair Higa, Secretary Lidstone, Member Kabibi, Member Duvashel, Member Leon, Member Sakota, and Member Wicker. Move now to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Any present or online wishing to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Is there a motion for the board to establish pursuant to section 92-2.5B1 Hawaii Revised Statutes a permitted interaction group for the purpose of establishing the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals and accordingly amend the agency's strategic plan adopted by the authority at the June 4th, 2025 General Authority meeting? Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Member Evans. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Member Gordner. And members, any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to the roll call vote. Craig?
Thank you, Chair. On the motion made by Member Evans and seconded by Member Gordner. Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Gordner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Secretary Lidstone,
Aye.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Anderson,
Yes.
Member Takakura,
Yes.
Member Sarvis,
Yes.
sorry, Member Strikes was excused. Member China is excused. Member Sakota,
Yes.
Member Duvashel,
Yes.
Member Leon,
Yes.
Member Life is excused. Member Kabibi,
Yes.
Member Yamasaki is excused. Motion passes, Chair.
Oh, I vote yes.
Oh, yes, you would, yes.
13.
Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
You're all good. 13 yes votes, 4 excused, motion passes. Agenda item number 3 is for information and discussion. This is the findings and recommendations of the permitted interaction group established at the March 25th, 2026 at-large board meeting pursuant to section 92-2.5B1 Hawaii Revised Statutes for the purpose of conducting the executive director's annual performance review and establishing the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals and accordingly amend the agency strategic plan adopted by the authority at the June 4th, 2025 General Authority meeting. As a note, the authority may convene an executive session pursuant to HRS 92-5A2 to consider the hire, evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee, or if charge brought against the officer or employee where consideration of matters affecting privacy will be involved, provided that if the individual concerned requests an open meeting shall be held. I will now present the staff report. So you can find this in tab 5 of your packet. So the PIG with the members that were just described met on 3 dates, April 13th, 17th, and 21st. And we met to look at the 2025-2026 goals and priorities that are recorded in last year's strategic plan. But we did not finalize a recommendation on that part. We focused primarily on the evaluation of the executive director. We did note, members of the PIG, that part of why this other PIG has been established is to really look at clear goals, measurable outcomes, and improved project level reporting, and having good tracking and reporting mechanisms. And that's primarily a result of the agency having more authority in diverse areas, including through Act 252 projects for other agencies, where given the amount of projects the agency is managing, having a simple way to show what projects are on the table, where we are, and whether we're progressing on track was important to the members. Members of the PIG felt that more robust discussion needed to continue on that. We did, however, come to, and this is on the second page of the report, a recommendation to the board that the executive director's performance for the last evaluation has exceeded the performance expectations. Just as a note, each member of the PIG completed an evaluation of the executive director on 10 different criteria, which included job knowledge, strategic planning and policy implementation, public communication and transparency, team leadership and development, decision-making leadership, professionalism, commitment to the authority, interagency coordination, organizational efficiency, and financial and budget management. And on all of those criteria, each member of the PIG rated the executive director as meeting or exceeding performance expectations. There was not a single instance of anyone of the 7 members of the PIG saying that the executive director has failed to meet or exceed the performance expectations. So what you see there is the average of the members' ratings, along with some of the individual comments that were made during that evaluation process. When we met as a group, we sort of discussed any discrepancies between different people's ratings. But I think the overall tenor was we think that the executive director is doing a job that exceeds expectations. And so the PIG voted to recommend to the board a 15% salary increase. And that is a salary increase off of the $166,392 that the executive director has been paid for the last 2 years. Frequent followers of this blog will note that the board voted last year to give the executive director a 15% increase. This 15% increase is not on top of that increase. This is just the same recommendation from the starting place of $166,392. That concludes the staff report. Just if I can personally say, this is the 3rd PIG that I've sat on in rating the executive director and doing strategic planning. And I think the discussion on this PIG was especially robust. So thank you to the PIG members for participating. Thank you to Craig for the job that you and the team are doing. And we now are open for comments and questions from board members. All right. This item is for information and discussion only. So we will come back at the next board meeting, and then the board can vote on whether or not to adopt the recommendations of the PIG, which includes adopting that exceeding performance expectations evaluation and the recommended 15% salary increase for Director Nakamoto. So we'll move now to public testimony on this item. Do we have any pre-signed up? Any persons present or online wishing to provide testimony? Seeing none, we'll close public testimony. Members, any comments or questions before we move from this item? Members,
can I just say something, Kevin Sakota?
Please.
You know, just in participating in these PIGs and evaluating our, Craig, there seems to be, just from my observation, a kind of a disconnect in terms of a much more macro strategic view of what the HCDA is trying to do and what Craig is trying to implement versus sort of an employee evaluation level type of evaluation. So, I'm a little bit concerned about that, and I want to make sure that that comes across in our next PIG coming up. That I think as board members, we're concerned about both, but I'm more interested in getting the macro strategic direction correct and having a director implement that. But there seems kind of like a dual evaluation system. So I'm going to push hard to kind of clarify that. Because as board members, I don't think we get a lot of feedback as to how Craig is interacting with staff, right? I mean, I just judge it by the fact that most of the staff I meet, they're fairly happy and they're excited about their job. So I, conclude that Craig is doing a great job on that part. So I just wanted to throw that out there as that's a concern of mine going forward, or a point to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Thank you, member Sakota. Noted. Members, any other comments or questions? Okay. Moving now to agenda item number 6, legislative update by the HCDA staff on the status of the legislative measures affecting the agency as listed in the agenda. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director, will now present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members. In your agenda, I've listed, the measures that survived at the time we had put this agenda together. The session is almost over. The last day of the session is May 8th. The last day of conference was May 1st. It's been a challenging session, I think, for staff. We were fortunate to have, Francine helping, Armaine, Garrett, Tommy Lynn, and the rest of the staff pitching in for support. So it was definitely a team effort. So thank all of them. I'm not going to go through all of the bills in the agenda, but I'll kind of highlight a few. So at the top of the list, the two governor's messages for Member Dubachel and Member Leong, GM 611, GM 727. Both Member Dubachel and Member Leong did a great job at the Senate confirmation hearings, and their GMs were voted on by the full Senate, and so they're confirmed. So congratulations, Member Leong and Member Dubachel. You guys did a great job at the Senate confirmation hearing. The next one on the list is HB 1800, which is the state budget. I'm going to ask Garrett also to come up and add color to that. That unfortunately occupied a lot of our time. I'm going to kind of divide it up into CIP first and operation. On the CIP side, we didn't have a whole lot of CIP requests, or we had none going into the session, just because of limitations and constraints on the financial condition of the state. But we ended up having two CIP funds approved, and that was 29,450,000 for the Kapuna supportive housing, and that was in last year's budget. For this year, we had gotten 5 million last legislative session. We also received 2 million to do AEA master planning. This was not something we asked for, but I think Representative Kitagawa added this to the budget, and it survived the budget process. So it is in the CD1 version of the budget. Let me take a pause. The operational side is another matter altogether. So on the operational side, the SD1 version of the budget, the way it emerged was two things. They were going to propose to transfer 7 of our positions to DBED. These 7 positions are identified. They affect real people, real bodies. There's 1 vacant position. The 7 positions are 5 general funded positions and 2 special funded positions. I think in total in DBED, there were about 16 positions transferred to DBED. So and I think we have the bulk of the 16. The second operational impact in the budget is that all of our general funds are going to be eliminated. So we depend on general funds to fund roughly half of our staff, and the other half are funded by special funds, which largely consist of leasing and management revenues. Okay. If we have to convert all of our positions, and it looks like we have to convert all of our positions to special funding. In our leasing and management funds, we don't have enough to sustain us for a long time. We have enough to sustain us for a short period of time. after the Senate draft came out, Garrett and I met with Senate leadership, Senate Ways and Means. We also met with Chair Todd. And our proposal, our proactive proposal was to ask that the 7 positions be restored to HCDA because they were part of a team that worked together with planning and development, worked together with the whole team to execute CIP projects, including projects like the Waikiki Beach project. And they're working on current projects like Ibole Kapalama, Saratoga Electrical. And we conceded that we would accept that these general funds would be eliminated. And to address the elimination of general funds, our proposal was that we were going to have to do 2 things. So one, primarily, every time we do a project, we're going to have to take a portion of the project funds from the project to pay for special funded staff. And this was something that Garrett and I pointed out to certain legislators as what would have to be done. So in other words, project funds would be reduced by the amount of our fee. And we had talked about maybe 10% to start with, but that was something we have to decide on. The second piece that we needed to sustain special funded staff over the long term is we're going to have to ramp up a little bit more our leasing activities. So, properties that we set out in our leasing and real estate development strategic plan that was presented and approved by the board maybe a year or 2 ago, we're going to have to really start to, ramp up some of those, monetize some of our lands and look for other areas where we can monetize our property, including things like if we do a housing project, with affordable housing project, maintaining for ourselves maybe ground floor retail commercial so that we can get revenues from that to help sustain us. So we're working on that. The legislature, the Senate side seems very supportive of not just sort of hang us out to dry on this. They seem to want to provide either property or assets to kind of help us, generate leasing revenue. So it's not like they're hanging us out to dry. Another related bill, HB 2275. HB 2275 was kind of a funding appropriation bill that appropriated 984,000 to HCDA to cover some of these operational shortfalls. So that helps a little bit. But these shortfalls are, this situation nevertheless exists. The budget, as Member Evans mentioned, is going to be voted on today. I've had several meetings with the staff, including at least one individual meeting with the 7 people. This is one of, I think, the hardest things for me as an executive director to be able to have to deliver this kind of news because it does involve, people and bodies. So I've kept them informed along the way. Garrett and I have also talked to senators about this. And here's what we know, and here's what I've conveyed to staff. So what we know today is that as of July 1st, 2026, if budget is signed into law, none of the 7 positions, people are going to lose their jobs. They'll still have jobs. This transfer is kind of, at least right now, is on paper. Positions and funding will be transferred. People will still work here. They're not going to be transferred to DBED. There's just simply no room to have 7 people, much less 16, be there. They're going to be able to continue to work on projects that HCDA is working on right now. So existing projects will be worked on by the CIP team, and this involves the CIP team and Francine and Armée. So just to put names to this, because it has direct impact. At the same time, director and deputy director are working with DBED, ASO, and HR to work on the HR issues, work on HR matters related to this. So I don't know anything more about that except they'll give us an update. And when they do provide an update, I'll present it to staff. So that's kind of where we are right now. It's not the best situation. I think we continue to talk to leadership more. I don't think I'm done with this yet. When we've talked to Senate, they've indicated feeling that maybe next year we can ask for reconsideration of this to keep the staff here. So I'm hopeful of that. But we don't know anything really more than that, and I don't want to speculate about anything. I've asked the staff not to speculate about anything. If they hear something and about it, to let me know so that I can either confirm it or dispel it, because we're still a small department, and I don't want this affecting other people, more people getting anxious about it. So that's, I think, the big part of the budget. I want to pause there because they said a lot this question.
And just the budget did pass, so
Okay.
it's been forwarded to the governor for signature.
Any questions?
Member Sarvis.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Just curious, when you say that there's lease revenues adequate to fund those positions in the short term, by short term, do you mean like a few months or a couple of years? Just curious what that looks like.
So the current special funds that we have in our leasing and management funds are not adequate to fund all these positions for a long period of time. Garrett, you have?
The time frame is years, it's not months, but it is only like a single digit number of years, not like forever.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Member Sarvis. Members, any other comments or questions? Okay, we can continue with the other legislation.
Sure. So SB 2001 is the Banyan Drive bill. The way it emerged in the legislature was the House version did not move, so SB 2001 was the vehicle. It passed out as a CD1. I think it had the support of both House and Senate. In the bill, there's $2 million in general fund funding to stand up the district, and I think there's one FTE. The other bill that was important this year was Senate Bill 2599. This bill is kind of a conglomeration of Senate Bill 2599, Senate Bill 2604, which was related to Stadium Authority, and then another bill that the number escapes me right now, but it was a conglomeration of those three bills. The part that sets forth the Stadium Development District is for us to stand up the Stadium Development District as another HCDA Community Development District with zoning and regulatory authority. That regulatory authority will supersede county zoning is the intention. The vision that the legislators have that are contained in Senate Bill 2599 is that Stadium Authority will be responsible for developing the stadium and the vertical part, but HCDA will be responsible for planning, constructing, designing, and contributing or financing the infrastructure part, working with the stadium developer. As part of as part of our planning for the district, it is contemplated that there's gonna maybe additional community amenities that are located, that are also required, including more housing units than the 4,500 and other kind of community facilities. The third part of what the bill is part of the bill that seeks to increase the stadium authority's special fund ceiling to 49.5. This is some money that is appropriate, but they don't have the authority to spend it. It's needed to further develop the stadium. That 49.5 ceiling increase is predicated on stadium authority and HCDA and the developer working on certain deliverables that need to be sent to the legislature in order to unlock the 49.5. The next bill on the list is Senate Bill 2061. There is a CD1 now, so this is the bill that amended the 99-year leasehold program. As you might recall, after we went through the pre-development work with the developer, there were certain both market conditions and also restrictions in the original bill that we felt hampered or restricted the ability to move to the next step of the project, which was to do pre-sales. There was some, in perpetuity requirements for owner occupants, not owning other real estate. So we worked with Senator Chang and got a bill introduced. It's been up and down on this bill. It didn't look like it was going to even pass the legislature, but at the last minute with the conference committee, I think we worked out some favorable terms. And I think with this, I think we can start on the project again with the developers, but only time will tell, and the real test is going to be whether or not we can end up selling units. Senate Bill 25998 and Senate Bill 2921 kind of work in conjunction with the budget. 2598 authorizes monies that are in special and revolving funds, including HCDAs, to be used for operations. And we had no objection to that because that's what it is used for now. Senate Bill 2921 is a broad bill that seeks to sweep special funds from various agencies, not including DBED agencies, but other agencies. And it's not uncommon when the state faces this kind of financial crisis. So we were worried about that, but fortunately, Senate Bill 2921 did not sweep any special funds from us. Senate Bill 3029 passed with a CD1. This is Senator Lee's bill. It seeks to have HCDA work with the counties to establish this summer streets program where streets would be closed for a summer, and it would allow for pedestrian activities, bicycling, and so forth. It's something that was modeled in Malmo, Sweden. The bill came through the committees, limiting this to only one county with a population of less than 300,000. And then through conference, it got opened up again and changed to where it's going to be for all counties with funding at 200,000 per county. So we have to work with the county. Fortunately, through the hearing process, we met someone from the Department of Health who was very supportive of this, and I think we can count on that person and the Department of Health to help implement this. Senate Bill 3218, 3219 were both widely supported by developers and others.
OPSD.
OPSD, that's true. OPSD and by us, that would allow for RISE bonds, which are resilient infrastructure and shelter equity bonds, something kind of a value capture tool to be issued by the county. That's in 3218. 3219 is the CONAM portion of it that would allow CONAM. So we supported both, kind of coming through conference. The bill had, took a little bit of a different turn where it can be used in conjunction with a CFD, community facilities district, but it has to go through some hurdles for the tip, for the RISE bonds to be used. In that, that's to say, well, they've kind of exhausted the use of the CFD first, and then they can use, these RISE bonds. It's not what I would have wanted, but that's what emerged out of the conference. We kind of learned about it, Karen and I learned about it maybe the last day before conference ended. I tried to get that out of the bill because I didn't think it helped, but it was too late at that point to make any changes. But I think it might still be a useful tool if it goes passed by voters to use in the Stadium Development District. House Bill 2275, as I mentioned earlier, is appropriate some general funds to help us, and we have $984,000 in there that we can help with operations. The last two are House concurrent resolutions that urge the DLNR to transfer land that they have in East Kapolei to HHFDC and to work with HCDA on infrastructure. These were measures that were supported by the House, especially to try to look at the proposed development there by DLNR and try to increase the density of those parcels since they're near the second rail stop. So we've supported those bills generally, and we're willing to help on that as needed. I think that's it for the major bills.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Members, any comments or questions? Member Sakota.
Just trying to reconcile all what your comments, right? I mean, in going through this list, I mean, it seems like the list of requests are going up, but they're not giving you the funding. I mean, that just seems like a pretty obvious message coming across.
So, yeah. So, with respect to 2001, the Banyan Drive bill, that was surprising. Member Sakota, it had a blank for funding. We had asked for funding and resources all the way through the hearings process. We needed that funding to stand up Banyan Drive. What I understand happened, as a lot of things do in conference, it's pretty hectic, sometimes chaotic, and something I think just got lost in the translation there. So we didn't get the funding for that. But we will use part of the $984,000 to get the planning effort started, and I've been assured that we can go to the Senate next year and we can ask for more money for that planning effort. We can't do it without the money to bring consultants on board. So I think that was just something that kind of happened in the hecticness of conference. 2599 does have funds in, 2001 has funds in it, 2599 does not. And then I think for the rest of the projects, if we were going to help on the, let's say the Waikiki Beach project, we're going to depend on taking a portion of the fees.
Okay. It just seems to me like somebody doesn't understand that if you want help, it costs money, it costs bodies. So I don't know, very frustrating to hear those things.
Yeah, I think, as we were going through the legislative process, I mean, when we found out about those, we made our concerns known. But, these are, the legislature makes these policy decisions. And good or bad, I think the agencies have to do their best to implement them. And next session, if we need to ask for a correction on some of these things, I have no issue with asking for a correction or restoration of something. But it's too late now, obviously.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Sakota.
Sorry.
Members, any other comments or questions? All right, yeah, my encouragement to check out the budget and the various news reports about it, since it is going to the governor's desk. And to keep close attention to SB 2001 and 2599, because either of those would entail a significant addition of districts to the authority. Public testimony, any persons pre-signed up to provide testimony? Any persons present or online who wish to provide testimony? I see Ms. Rojas, you have 3 minutes. If you'd like to give testimony, they will allow you to unmute your microphone.
Aloha, just really quick, could you let me know what agenda item you guys are talking about right now?
We are in the at-large authority meeting. This is agenda item number 3, which is legislative update.
Okay, no.
Sorry.
Do you know
agenda
about
item
how
number-
long more to the Kalailo board meeting?
I would guess that about 10 minutes until we finish this meeting, and then 5-minute recess, so 15 minutes.
Okay, so no, I'm waiting for the Kalailo. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else pre-signed up to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, we will move to agenda item number 5, the report of the executive director. This is the monthly report and other status reports, including the monthly financial highlights for March 2026. Executive Director Nakamoto will now provide the monthly report, and Garrett Sasaki, Chief Financial Officer, is on standby for any questions from the board members.
So I just want to highlight a couple of things in the interest of time. So on item 3, the discussion, the significant activity for March, there were 2 things. 3B was a reimbursement by DHS for the Honokaha improvements. So that represents $1 million. And then 3A is a reimbursement of this public facilities dedication special fund from CIP funds for Makai Planet. So that was like 250. So just wanted to point those out. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Members, any comments or questions? We'll open public testimony. Any persons pre-signed up to provide testimony? Any persons present or online who wish to provide testimony? Seeing none, we'll close public testimony. Members, any questions or comments before we go to adjourn the meeting? Seeing none, thank you to those who joined us on Zoom or in person. That concludes our business for today. The meeting is adjourned. The time is now 11:21 a.m. Take a 5-minute recess before the Kalailo Authority meeting, which will start at 11:26 a.m. Thank you, board members. And thank you at-large authority members. Have a great day.
Thank you.